the creation.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
right.
And the third verse of the third chapter in Genesis talks about the fall of man.
Yeah.
Okay? Now in that chapter, God says, I will crush death.
Yeah.
I will crush death.
He will crush the head of the serpent. And
Yes.
I'm gonna
he
get
will
some
Yes.
water.
strike. Okay,
Can
yeah,
I get
no
you some water?
I'm okay.
You sure?
I just had some Pepsi, so thank you. Yeah.
You will crush the enemy. You will crush
Genesis
death.
3:15 or 16.
It's just
yeah.
easier. You'll come across clearly.
You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Can I get
Yeah.
you some water?
No, I'm good.
Tea,
thanks. No, I'm good.
fish and chips.
I'm good.
Yeah.
In Genesis 3.
Yeah. It says he will.
You were born a Muslim, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, God said, I will crush death. I will
Okay.
crucify. I will crush death.
Okay.
Okay. Then he said how you will do it.
Yeah.
The Old Testament tells us how he would do it. In the New Testament,
Shows how.
it's how he did it.
I see. Okay.
So God came in the form of man, lived a sinless life. Because remember, the Passover. Do you know what the Passover is?
It was to remember the Jews being rescued from Egypt.
The Passover lamb was slaughtered.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
okay.
The Passover lamb that was slaughtered, the spotless lamb that was slaughtered on Passover is a representation of the Messiah.
Okay.
Okay, the spotless means no blemish,
Yeah. Physical defect.
no
Yeah.
defects.
Yeah.
So every Passover for 1,500 years, the Israelites sacrificed spotless lamb, an animal, right? So for 1,500 years, the Christian crucifixion was portrayed.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Do you understand? So for 1,500 years, every Passover, there was a lamb slaughtered for the sins of the people.
Yeah. You know, Jesus ate the Passover meal as well.
Yes.
In the Synoptic Gospels.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So when the crucifixion, when for the 1,500 years.
Yeah. Before Jesus.
So for 1,500 years,
The Jews
Israelites,
were,
the Jews,
yeah.
they celebrate Passover,
Yeah.
and they slaughtered this lamb for their sins.
It wasn't a sin sacrifice.
It was a sin sacrifice.
It was to commemorate or to remember the Exodus.
No, it was a sin sacrifice.
Where does it say it was a sin sacrifice?
Because
I know in John's Gospel it says that, but in the Old Testament it doesn't say it was.
if you go read Exodus, it talks about the Passover lamb for the sins. Because in
Not
order
for the
for
sins.
in order for sins to be forgiven,
You mean the Day of Atonement?
the blood of an animal had to be shed for the sins of the people.
That was the Day of Atonement. That wasn't for
Yes.
Passover.
Or same thing.
It's not the same thing, but
But anyway, the lamb had to be slaughtered for the sins of the people. Okay, so
or a
so
goat.
in the Exodus, the lamb blood was put on the doorpost, and death came, and whoever had the blood would not die.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Jesus was born. You understand what I'm getting at?
You're saying
so
Jesus is the
2,000
lamb?
years, so 6,000 years, the death of Jesus was
prophesied.
prophesied.
Yeah.
Jesus was born. 33 years later, Jesus was crucified. You- so the crucifixion, that crucifixion is the slaughter of the lamb, is the death of the lamb. So Jesus is a representation, or Jesus is that representation of the lamb.
What would you say is the evidence that Jesus was crucified and resurrected?
The evidence
Just
is
because it says so doesn't mean it
no.
did.
Okay, so
It was
the
true.
evidence. So the fact
Like he has to.
without the resurrection,
Okay.
without the death and resurrection, the Christian faith dead.
Yeah, including the prophecies in the Old Testament. Because you can't say because it was said it was fulfilled.
Yeah, no,
You have to first prove it was
no,
fulfilled.
it was
Then you can say the prophecies were true.
it was
But
prophesied.
but if Jesus
Then-
did not rise, then it means the
have you ever-
prophecies are false.
have you ever read Isaiah 53?
Yes.
So what it talks about Isaiah 53?
Yeah. So it speaks about Jeremiah.
No,
Because
no.
Jeremiah quotes it in Jeremiah 11. Jeremiah quotes.
No. You said where was it prophesied?
No, not where it was prophesied, but if Jesus did not resurrect from the
Isaiah
dead,
53.
then Isaiah 53 would be a false prophecy.
Yes.
That's
If he
why
did-
if he didn't
if he didn't
resurrect,
resurrect, if he
yeah,
wasn't killed, if he wasn't killed and resurrected,
Yeah.
that is false.
exactly. So you would have to prove that he was resurrected for that to be true.
No, but he was resurrected.
So what's the
said-
proof?
no, the proof is, Jesus says, after 3 days, I will rise.
Um,
Outside and see that it's me.
But if Jesus predicted that he would rise from the dead on the third day,
Yes.
the disciples wouldn't have believed that his body was stolen. They
No,
would have
but-
known
no, but they, yeah, I
that he
understand what-
was gonna
yeah,
come
but
back on the third day.
Remember, Peter denied him 3 times, and Peter thought he was crazy, and it's only afterwards that they remembered. Because if you read the Gospels very clearly,
Yeah.
it talks about they doubted.
So why doesn't John's gospel not mention the passion prediction of Jesus being handed over and being killed and then resurrecting on the third day? John's gospel doesn't
why
have.
does it not-
John says the opposite,
yeah,
in
but
fact.
remember,
Yeah.
remember.
John says that they were not aware
No, I
that he
understand
would
there's a lot
rise.
of things that's different in every.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things different. Like this, the Gospel of Luke talks about things. The Gospel of John, from chapter 13, is the last week.
The supper.
The last week of his life. So now you got to think. Okay, so if John is only, if the Gospel of John is only 21 verses or 21 chapters long,
Yeah.
if I go from chapter 12 and I go to
Okay.
the last week of his life.
The last 10 chapters.
Yes, the last 10 chapters is about that last week.
Okay.
He doesn't talk about. There's not a lot of space to talk about the rest of his life.
Yeah, so last
that's
8
where-
chapters. But yes.
That's where the other Gospels come in. They patch up these things. Because remember, the Holy Spirit will reveal to people in specific places, in specific things, where they then will, where it talks about, like this person, like Matthew talks about talks about where he was talking about the amount of, what is it, chapter 6, where he was talking about, can't remember exactly what it was, but nowhere in
Is there a
Mark-
prophecy or something?
No, he was talking to people.
Okay.
He was talking to people and he was saying to them,
You know, that prophecy would still, like, even in the New Testament, if Jesus prophesies his resurrection on the third day, you will still have to prove his resurrection for that. Hence, the crucifixion doesn't prove Jesus to be the true Messiah. But the Quran defends him by saying he wasn't crucified. So he was the true Messiah, the true prophet.
No. Jesus was not a prophet.
He calls himself a
He
prophet.
doesn't call himself a prophet. He calls
In many places,
he calls
like
himself
Mark
God.
chapter 6, verse 4.
No, he says, remember, Jesus said, I am God. And you're going to ask me, where does it say that?
Yeah.
I'm going to say to you, go look in Mark.
He does call himself a prophet, but he doesn't call himself
He
God.
doesn't call himself a prophet.
It's in
He
Mark
calls
chapter 6, verse 4.
Okay,
He says that a
but
prophet is not without honor, except in his own
a prophet
hometown.
a prophet
Yeah.
is not with honor, but he
Except
doesn't
in his
call,
own hometown.
Yes, but
yeah.
okay, so he says a prophet. Okay, but he said in the Gospels, he said, I am.
Okay.
In John chapter 58, he says, I am.
Okay.
And remember, you were saying to me, oh, but where did he say of God? He said clearly, I am. The Israelites never called God God. They called him Yahweh.
Okay. Or the Father even.
Yeah, he
In
called
the
it,
Old Testament, they call him Father as well.
They didn't refer to God as
And mighty God and
yes,
Elohim
yes,
is called.
they called him by the name I am.
But yeah, his
Yes.
name is Yahweh. Yeah,
Yes,
personal name.
yes. So they said Yahweh.
Okay.
Yahweh.
HWH.
That's it.
Yeah.
So they didn't refer to God as God. They referred to him as Yahweh.
Okay.
Okay. So Jesus is claiming to be God
How?
by saying, before Abraham was, I am.
Yeah.
Because
Which isn't Yahweh.
Because no, so he's claiming to be God
It's not a
in
verb.
the flesh. No, he's saying I am, because in the bush, in the fiery bush, where in Exodus,
Yeah.
he was speaking
Moses
to Moses.
asked God for his name.
Yes, I am.
But God doesn't tell us his name.
Exactly, he's saying.
He says,
tell them I am who I am.
Yeah.
So Jesus is
So
saying,
that's
I
like
am.
me saying, where did they go? And you say they went where they went.
Yes.
But that's not an answer.
No, he said.
So God saying I am that I am is not
I am
an answer, but it's like never mind what my name is,
No, I am what it means.
or
I am.
mind your own. You've heard of Karen Armstrong? So she says it means like saying mind your own business or never mind what my name is.
No, it says I am who I am. I am, which means I am the eternal God.
Do you read the NIV Bible, the New International?
I don't. I stay away from NIV.
Okay, I can say it in the footnote.
Why do I stay away from NIV?
Yeah.
It's because the NIV words have been changed and some of the scriptures have been taken out.
Okay.
It's 2,000 scriptures been taken out of the NIV.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say in the footnote, translation it can also be translated as "I will be what I will be" and not "I am."
Forget about these little added things.
But you know the first time Jesus says "I am" in John is to the Samaritan woman at the well,
Yes,
when she said she's waiting for her, and she says "I am he" or "I am."
I am the eternal. Where it says, so basically, Jesus is claiming to be
The
God.
Messiah rather than
the Messiah. Yes,
the anointed one.
The anointed one.
Yeah.
The Messiah. He's claiming to be the
Because they say, how can you? Because Jesus says, Abraham rejoiced to see my days.
Yes.
And they ask him, how can you know Abraham when you're not even 50?
Yes.
And then he says, truly I say to you, before Abraham was I am.
Okay.
So it's within that context of him, Abraham being rejoiced to see the Messiah's days.
But you understand what he meant by Abraham, what Abraham did?
Yeah,
Do you know
Abraham
what
rejoiced.
did? No. Okay.
Meaning Abraham saw the days of the Messiah, like the future coming of the Messiah.
Yes. Do you know how?
Because in Hebrews it speaks about by faith Abraham.
Yes. But you know what? Abraham, when he offered up Isaac, knew that he was fulfilling prophecy.
Well, God was going to replace him somehow or save.
No. Abraham knew That day that he went to offer up Isaac,
Okay.
he knew that he was fulfilling prophecy. He
see,
knew
the
that
Messiah.
the father would kill his own son. He is the
I see.
father, and
Oh,
Isaac is the
okay.
son. He is fulfilling prophecy.
But Isaac doesn't die.
No, Isaac doesn't die
He has
because I
he resurrects from the dead,
no
according to Hebrews, but
no
metaphorically.
no. But the thing is, Isaac if you read it carefully, Isaac was before he was stabbed. There was a ram provided for him.
A substitution.
Yes,
Yeah.
a substitution. A,
So
so
if
instead,
Jesus is Isaac, then he's substituted by someone.
I know where you go.
And that's what Muslims
I know where you're
generally
going,
say.
but
Yeah.
that's not true. The thing is, right? So that you've been you grew up as a Muslim,
Yeah.
right? So you've never been presented with. So you've never looked outside of. You've never looked outside of Islam. Is that correct?
I'm interested in comparative religion, so I'm interested in the Abrahamic religions.
Okay.
But I just wanted to show you this verse. He considered that God was able even to raise him from the dead, from which, figuratively speaking, he did receive him back. This is in reference to Isaac being like raised from the dead figuratively, even
No,
though
but
Isaac didn't die, but
yeah,
figuratively.
but the thing is, Isaac knew. Isaac,
That God would provide.
No, Abraham
Yeah.
knew. No, Abraham knew.
Yeah.
Abraham knew
He
that
says to Isaac that God will provide,
Yeah, no.
or
No.
something like this.
Isaac. Abraham was going to kill Isaac.
Not necessarily, but according to Genesis, because Isaac asked Abraham, like, when will God will provide?
Yes, God will provide. God will provide that thing. God will. Remember, let me put it this way.
Okay.
Just consider what I'm saying.
Okay.
What did God promise Abraham?
He'll be a father of many nations.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So if Abraham if Abraham was promised through Isaac, because Isaac so God promised that through Isaac you will have many nations. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if Abraham killed Isaac.
So this was the Abraham said God will provide for himself the lamb.
Yes.
For the burnt offering, my son.
Okay.
So even Abraham.
Hang on a minute. Let me finish.
Yeah.
You need to understand. You understand? God commanded Abraham to go and sacrifice Isaac on the cross.
Yeah.
On a whatever.
Yeah. Mount Hebron, I think.
Yes. Isaac or Abraham was obedient to do it because Abraham knew if he would have killed his only son, he would have raised him from the dead.
Oh, I see.
Because God promised Abraham that nations will come out of Isaac. So you understand? So in that action of him killing it, the ram was provided as a substitute.
Interesting.
Do you know what I'm saying? But Abraham was willing to kill his son. So Abraham and Isaac is a representation of God and Jesus. God the Father and Jesus the Son.
Well, from the Muslim perspective, is that Jesus is substituted, he's rescued by someone else being crucified. Like Judas, for example, is the substitution.
That's not true. That's not true.
So that fits more better with the Muslim narrative rather than with the.
I understand what you're saying.
Because in your narrative, Jesus dies, but in Genesis, Isaac doesn't die, but he's replaced.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what I'm saying, but I understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
History is what I was going on about earlier. It's history proves that Jesus was killed and he was resurrected. That's
Okay.
a fact of history.
So what's the facts
What do you mean?
that he was resurrected?
He said that he will be. What do you mean? What's the proof?
So if you look at
If I say,
if you look at the
no,
earliest,
hang on, let me finish. You ask me the question.
okay,
If I say I'm gonna rise from the dead,
yeah, doesn't make it true. You have to
no,
you have to prove it.
Hang on a minute. If I say I'm gonna rise from the dead,
Yeah.
3 days later I appear to you, after you saw me dead,
Okay.
after you see me die on the cross,
Yeah.
I appear to you alive.
Yes.
They saw Jesus die.
From afar.
No, they were there.
In Mark it says they saw from afar. I'll show you.
Okay. So, but now, well, hang on a minute. So, what am I saying? What am I saying? On the cross, did Jesus not say to on the cross, Mary, that's your son?
Yeah.
Remember that.
That's in John,
So, okay. So,
which is
what?
the
Okay.
latest
Yes.
gospel.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
what happened? He says, Father, forgive me for they do not that. And then he said, and then he breathed his last breath. So then he died.